What's up, everybody? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with a little, I guess you could say a top 10 video, I guess, kinda, sorta. It's just Derek and I's top picks for EDH from the cards that have been reprinted from Modern Masters 2017, which happens to be exactly 10 cards. So, I mean, these are in no particular order. We kind of just did go through like the color pie and look at, the white cards, the blue cards, the black cards, so on and so on. And we came up with 10 cards that we thought were good picks or good shout-outs for some nice reprints to have for EDH. So, without further ado, let's kick it off. And the first card that I have on my list here is going to be a white card, and it's Linvala, Keeper of Silence. So I guess I'll also talk about like the monetary value of these cards as it stands right now. So, well, before I talk about that, Linvala is a 4-cost 3/4 flyer that makes it so that activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. So, I mean, that doesn't need much explaining. I mean, that's just all around a really, really good card. Doesn't mess with you at all, only your opponents. So, it keeps your opponents from using that Kiki-Jiki to, go infinite with something, or, any other myriad of creatures that have activated abilities that, you can go bananas with. So, I mean, that's a really nice reprint to have, because as it stands right now, I know some prices have dropped a little bit on some of these cards going into Modern Masters 2017. But right now, Linvala is like a $36 card. So, I mean, and she's never been reprinted once before. Only from Rise of the Eldrazi at Mythic Rare. I believe she is retaining that Mythic Rare status in Modern Masters, but the fact that, we're getting that reprint, there's a reason it's a $36 card, and it's really nice in EDH because it just shuts your opponents out from doing anything with activated abilities. So, I mean, that doesn't, like I said, doesn't need much explaining. So, that is our first card. Our second card is going to be a blue card, and that's going to be Venser, Shaper Savant. So, he's a 4-cost 2/2 legendary human wizard with flash. When he enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. So, I mean, that's just really nice all-around ability. Very abusable with like blink type effects, like momentary blink and ghostly flicker and things of that nature. So it's kind of like a pseudo counterspell. Someone casts a spell on the stack, you can flash in a Venser and bounce their spell back to their hand. So, kind of like a pseudo counterspell or just a straight up bounce spell is just, a really nice thing to have. What's cool about Venser is that they're using the art from the Vault 20, I believe it was, that he got reprinted in, which is like one of those premium sets. So, I mean, the fact that we're getting some cool art on it that's not the, I believe it was Future Sight, I think he was from. Originally, but I mean the From the Vault 20 copy is like $18, so hopefully these prices will drop a little bit more, and I don't think he was Mythic in Modern Masters 2017. He might be at the rare slot, so I mean that's even better. So I know he was rare in Future Sight, so they could have bumped him up to Mythic, but it looks like they kept him at the rare slot, which is really nice. And just the fact that he's so abusable with blink type effects and whatnot, just kind of really put him on that list for us, just because of the pure shenanigans you can do with him. All right, so our next card is going to be another blue card. It's going to be a guy who needs no introduction, I Navigator. If you want to talk about shenanigans with blinking things in and out, this is the guy you talk about. So he's a 6-cost 5/5 spirit creature with Soul Bond. So you can pair him with a creature, another unpaired creature, when he or that unpaired creature enters the battlefield. And then as long as he's paired with a creature, each of those creatures has pay 1 and a blue exile the creature, then immediately return it to the battlefield under your control. So, I mean, you want to talk about blinky shenanigans, this is the guy. This is the guy that you want to have. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at some point in the future if they banned I Navigator, just for the pure nonsense that you can do with him. You can pair him with a Venser, and then you can just start, blinking Venser out every turn, or every time your opponent tries to cast a spell. Just pure and utter shenanigans that you can do with this guy. So, he obviously made our list. I'm sure a lot of you out there, if you play blue, you're probably playing I Navigator. I mean, he's just too good not to play. I mean, you're going to have enter the battlefield effects on some of your creatures, so, I mean, why not play him? So, that is card number 3. Card number 4 is a green creature, Hoof Behemoth. So he is an 8-cost 5/5 beast with haste. When he enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So I mean, that really doesn't need much explaining either. You have a bunch of dudes on the board, you cast him, give them all trample and make them friggin' huge and just swing in. Usually if you're casting this card, you're probably at least trying to win the game on the spot. Most of the time you probably will, unless your opponent has some sort of crazy shenanigans, but this card right now is $22, and rightfully so. It's probably one of the more powerful green creatures out there. Especially if you're playing some sort of like token generation deck. This guy just fits right in. I mean, I play this guy in my formerly my Trostani deck, now my Tolsimir Wolfblood deck, and he just fits in right at home in that deck. So, if you're playing green, you're just trying to go wide with a bunch of creatures, this guy's just a shoe-in for you. Alright, so our next card, those are all the creatures that we're going to talk about. The next batch of cards are spells. So the first one we're going to talk about is Path to Exile. So a lot of you probably know what that does. 1 white for an instant, exiles any creature, and then its controller gets to search their deck for a basic land, put it onto the board tapped. So I mean, just probably I would be safe to bet like the premier creature removal spell in the format. I mean, for 1 white mana, you're just exiling any creature. Your opponent never gets access to it ever again, at the cost of them getting one basic land, not even just any land, one basic land, just onto the board tapped. And they're not gaining any life in exchange. None of that. They're just getting one basic land out of their deck. And right now this card is $10 if you want to pick it up, and that's the original Modern Masters copy is at $10. Well, $10.98, so essentially $11 for an uncommon. So the fact that they're reprinting that again is just really nice for us EDH players, because it's just premier removal. Next up, we have a blue instant with Cyclonic Rift. So that's a 2-cost blue instant via 1 and a blue. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, and then you can overload it for 6 and a blue. So if you overload it, when you cast it, you change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So if you overload it, you return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. More premier removal in blue. So blue doesn't really have a lot of sweepers. I mean, you have this, you have things like Evacuation, Devastation Tide, things of that nature. But this is like a one-sided board wipe. So, and 7 mana really isn't asking a lot to do what this card does. You're essentially just wiping everybody else's board and leaving yours intact. So, this is definitely a card that you could use to just win the game on the spot, and just swing in with your team or whatever it may be. I mean, this card really isn't overly expensive. It's about $7 right now, but the fact that they're reprinting it again, just will mean that the price will probably creep down a little bit for a little while. Originally in Return to Ravnica, I think it was reprinted in one of the Commander precons. But, the fact that they're reprinting it again is just really, really nice because, it's just nice premier blue removal. Next up, we have a multicolored spell in Terminate. So, some more removal, because removal is always nice in Commander. Your opponent drops that big nasty on you that's causing you headaches. Always having some spot removal is always a nice thing to have in your deck to, deal with those problems when you need to deal with them. So, Terminate, 1 black and a red. For an instant, destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. Pretty straightforward. When this has been reprinted a few times, actually more than a few times, but it's at a common, and it's about $2 to pick it up. So, not hugely expensive, a $2 card, but, it's a common. So, $2 for a common. There are commons out there that are much more money than that, but, you wouldn't generally think a common would cost you a couple dollars. You would think it would cost you maybe a handful of cents. But yeah, just more good removal for 2 mana. You kill any creature with no restrictions or anything, and it can't be regenerated. So, not much more else to say about that. Next up, we have an enchantment, Blood Moon. A lot of you probably know of Blood Moon and probably either love it or hate it, or maybe both. Depends on whether or not you're playing it or getting it played against you. But a 3-cost red enchantment via 2 and a red non-basic lands or mountains. So, you're probably playing a decent amount of non-basic lands in your EDH deck, seeing as you want to probably be running anywhere from 37 to 40 lands in your deck. So a good chunk of them are probably going to be non-basics. So, there are some dirty, dirty people out there that like to play this card. Derek and I generally don't play around with it. There's just cards that we try to just stay away from to not be that guy. So this happens to be one of those cards. But, this card is $40. The original Modern Masters version of what I'm looking at right now is $41.77. So, it's always nice to get reprints on cards that are just that expensive. It'll probably retain its value, but it'll probably see a little bit of a price creep down, I would imagine, with it being reprinted. And, with this Modern Masters seemingly being so much more widely available than the other two, it might not, necessarily keep its current value for very long. Like I said, it'll probably drop down a little bit, but, it's Blood Moon. So, it's played in Commander, it's played in Modern, it's, played in, other formats. So, it'll probably stay around this price, but I would imagine that once Modern Masters 2017 comes out, you might see the price creep down a little bit. And then next we have Damnation. Yes, Damnation is back. It is back, and, it's just really, really nice to finally see this card reprinted. We're talking back in the days of Planar Chaos. That was 2007, 2008, somewhere around that time frame. So, a really long time. We're talking like 10 years ago, at least. So, people have been clamoring for this for so long, for this to be reprinted. The first Modern Masters, the second Modern Masters, sets all in between, Eternal Masters. People are just begging for this card to come back, and finally it is back in Modern Masters 2017. So it's just a black Wrath of God. Does exactly what Wrath of God does, it's just black. And the price of this card, has just crept up and crept up and crept up over the years. Most recently it was, pushing like $70 for this card. Right now, it's seen quite a dip in price. It's down to about 50, from 70. So it's lost about $20 on the price point right now. So, I'm sure if there's any copies out there, if people were sitting on copies of this, they might have started to try to liquidate them out after the price started creeping down. But the fact that this is getting reprinted in Modern Masters is it's just really nice to finally see Wizards do it. I know on their website, when they were starting the spoilers for Modern Masters, they just posted a picture of Damnation and it just said, fine. Like, yeah, fine, here you go. Here's Damnation. You've been begging for it long enough. I guess we'll finally give it to you. So, EDH, creature-heavy format. You're probably playing some sweepers in your deck. If somebody starts getting out of hand, it's not unheard of for someone to have an army of creatures on their side of the board. So just having more access to more wrath type effects is always nice to have in your deck. I know Derek and I generally try to play a handful in each of our decks. Anywhere between like 3 to 5 of them, anywhere in that range. So yeah, Damnation. It's finally coming back. It's just so... let me just soak it in for a moment. It's Damnation. It's finally coming back. Alright, and lastly we'll talk about a land card that's coming back in Modern Masters, Cavern of Souls, which is also another really nice reprint, seeing as that it's about $50 to pick it up right now. So I don't think this has ever been reprinted in any other product, but it's a land, comes into play, choose a creature type. You can tap it to add 1 generic to your mana pool, or you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, and that spell can't be countered. So I like to build tribal decks. Correction, I love to build tribal decks. I do it all the time. I know there's a lot of people out there that love to build tribal decks too. So, Cavern of Souls, on paper, is a shoe-in. When you look at the price, you're probably like, it's like $50. Do I really need it? No. But, it's being reprinted in Modern Masters 2017, so hopefully, we'll see that price creep down just a little bit, foil versions of this card are $120, so, I'm pretty sure that they're going to retain the, I want to say they will, the foil in every pack. So, maybe some of you will get lucky and crack a foil Cavern of Souls, and be $120 richer. Or at least maybe somewhere around that area. But, just another really nice reprint. Really good for EDH, especially if you're playing tribal. I know there's a lot of dirty people out there that like to pack counter spells in their decks. Just for me, it's not much different. You cast a creature, it resolves, and then someone casts a kill spell on it. It's like, okay, you killed my creature, but when you go to cast a creature and someone counterspells it, it just stings. It stings that much more, because it's like you invested these resources to play it, and you didn't even get it on the board. It just stings, guys. It just stings. So, Cavern of Souls, helps you out a little bit in that aspect. So, but yeah, that about wraps up our 10 cards from Modern Masters 2017 that we think would be really nice things to have in a commander standpoint. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, crush that thumbs up button. It really does help out a lot. Leave me some comments in the comment section below the video of what you thought of this list. If there are any cards from Modern Masters 2017 that you think should have been on the list, or, maybe there's cards on my list or on Derek and I's list that you thought maybe shouldn't be on there, let us know in the comments. We always love to hear your feedback and suggestions. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, Tap and Turn Gaming, please crush that subscribe button. We really, really do appreciate it. We're getting really close to 2K subscribers. So depending on the time of this video going live, Hell, you may have seen a video of Derek and I talking about what we're going to do for 2K subscribers. So if you haven't checked that out already, you can check out that video. And hopefully the quality of our videos get a little bit better for you guys. We've got all this nice equipment now. We got the nice green screen. We got some umbrella lights here on the side. You can't see them on the video, but they're there. So just wanting to bring you guys better overall content. So. But yeah, that about wraps it up here. So this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming.